Imagine holding an ordinary 1986 Washington quarter, a coin you've seen thousands of times before. You flip it, you hear that familiar metallic ring, and suddenly you realize this tiny piece of change could be worth over $1 million. Sounds impossible, right? But somewhere out there, one of these coins hides a secret that could change your life forever. Let's go back to 1986, the year the Challenger disaster shook America. The Statue of Liberty celebrated its 100th birthday, and in the minting halls of Philadelphia, millions of Washington quarters were struck, most destined for vending machines, toll booths, and pockets across the nation. But among those millions, a few were different. A few carried a flaw so rare, so precise, that decades later, collectors would hunt them like buried treasure. These weren't just any coins. They were struck using a misaligned die, or created from experimental planchets that never should have existed. The kind of minting errors that happen in an instant, a flicker of human oversight, and create something truly one of a kind. One of those mistakes, one of those forgotten seconds, could make a 25-cent coin worth a fortune. Picture this. A man in Ohio brings a handful of old coins to a local shop. Just regular quarters, he thinks. The dealer takes a look, pauses, and leans closer under the magnifier. The color looks off. The edge doesn't shine like the rest. The P mint mark on the obverse, it's slightly doubled. His hands start to shake. What he's holding isn't just a coin. It's $1 million discovery. Every collector dreams of this moment. The heartbeat quickens, the room goes quiet, and suddenly you realize that wealth doesn't always come in stacks of bills or bars of gold. Sometimes, it hides in your change jar. Now, here's what you need to know. The 1986 P. Washington quarter was minted in Philadelphia. No mint mark means Philadelphia, but when you see that small P, it means this coin came from the first official years that the mint began marking them. For 1986, that detail matters more than most collectors realize. The quarters from this year were made from a copper-nickel clad composition, a thin layer of nickel bonded to copper. But a few rare examples were struck on experimental planchets, blanks intended for other denominations, like the pure copper or silver-colored metal used for proof coins or foreign currency. These errors can change the weight, tone, or color of the coin ever so slightly. Grab a scale. A normal 1986 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs even slightly more or less, say 5.8 or 5.9 grams, it might have been struck on the wrong planchet. That's your first clue. Next, check the edges. The reading should be clean and tight, but an error coin might show flattened or partial reading. Sometimes, the edges reveal copper layers in an uneven pattern. If the coin looks duller, lighter, or unusually bright, it's worth a closer look. Now, bring it under magnification. Look closely at George Washington's profile. Pay attention to the Liberty lettering and especially to the P mint mark above the date. Doubling, misalignment, or ghost images around these features can indicate a rare double die error, a striking flaw that multiplies its value by thousands. Collectors have reported examples with full mirror-like surfaces struck from polished dies usually reserved for proof coins. These are the holy grail of 1986 quarters. If your coin gleams like a mirror, if it looks too perfect to have been pocket change, it could be one of those special strikes worth a life-changing sum. Let's reset for a second. Imagine you're sitting at your kitchen table. You dump a handful of coins from your old coffee can. One by one, you start checking. Suddenly, one quarter catches the light differently. The edge looks strange. You weigh it, and your heart skips a beat. It's heavier than it should be. Collectors have spent years chasing this dream. Some search estate sales, some dig through yard sale change jars. Others trade online hoping to find that one coin that defies the odds. Because every once in a while, someone does. In 2023, a collector reportedly sold a mint error quarter from the mid-1980s for over $200,000. Others with verified planchet errors crossed the $400,000 mark. And the rarest examples, those struck from prototype dies or on silver blanks, have been appraised near the $1 million range. That's the kind of story that makes the heart race. During the mid-1980s, the Philadelphia Mint was modernizing. Machines were being upgraded, dies replaced, and metals tested for efficiency. Transitional planchets, leftover blanks from older runs or experimental metal types, sometimes slipped through the cracks. Workers might not have even noticed. The result? A handful of 1986 P quarters struck on the wrong material. It's like lightning in a bottle. A one-time event that no mint could replicate today. That if you have a 1986 quarter that feels lighter, heavier, looks silver when it shouldn't, or has even a hint of doubling, don't spend it. Protect it. Get it graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Certification can turn an ordinary find into a verified treasure, and a verified treasure into a millionaire's payday. Now imagine standing there, holding that coin after it's confirmed genuine. You can feel its history in your hand. A coin that's survived 4 decades, unnoticed, now shining under the light as the world realizes what it truly is. A piece of American minting history, worth more than your car, your home, maybe your entire savings combined. That's what makes collecting so powerful. It's not just about money, it's about discovery. It's about connecting with the hidden stories behind the smallest things we carry every day. So, take another look at your change. Search those drawers, old jars, and forgotten boxes. Because lightning doesn't just strike once. It waits for someone curious enough to find it. And if one of those 1986 P. Washington quarters ends up in your hand, if you notice the weight feels just a little off, if the shine looks different, if your instinct whispers, "This one's special," listen to it. That instinct might be worth $1 million, because hidden within the coins of 1986 is more than metal. It's mystery, it's history, and it's the chance of a lifetime. The next collector who finds one might just become the next millionaire. Imagine a simple quarter, a 1971 D Washington quarter, hiding in plain sight, carrying a secret that could change your life forever. One that looks just like the others in your pocket, yet could be worth over $1.1 million. Most people have handled it, spent it, or ignored it, never realizing what they had in their hands. But tonight, you'll discover the truth behind one of the most mysterious and valuable coins in American history. The year was 1971. The U.S. Mint in Denver was busy striking millions of Washington quarters. Over 250 million, to be exact. They looked ordinary. A silver-colored coin featuring George Washington on the front, the proud eagle on the back, and that small D mint mark just below, "In God We Trust." But somewhere within that massive production, something happened. A rare mistake. A minting error so unusual, it would go unnoticed for decades. And that tiny error turned a 25-cent coin into $1 million treasure. You see, not all 1971 D quarters are created equal. Most are worth face value. But a handful were struck on leftover silver planchets, blanks meant for the previous year's silver coins. Imagine that. In a time when quarters were supposed to be copper-nickel clad, a few escaped the mint made of 90% silver. They looked nearly identical to normal coins, but their composition told a different story. It's these few surviving examples that collectors now hunt for. The silver 1971 D Washington quarter worth up to $1.1 million. Think about it. A coin struck by accident, hidden for half a century, passed through hundreds of hands, sitting quietly in change jars and dresser drawers across America. You might even have one right now. And here's how to tell. Hold your 1971 D quarter under a bright light. Look at the edge. Do you see a copper line running through it? If you do, that's the standard clad version. But if the edge is solid silver, with no trace of copper, your heart should start racing. Because that could be one of the rare silver planchet errors. Now weigh it. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. But the silver error? Around 6.25 grams. That tiny difference, less than 1 gram, separates a pocket coin from $1 million discovery. Collectors often say the rarest treasures are the ones that hide in plain sight. Imagine cleaning out an old box or opening a jar of coins your grandfather left behind and realizing you're holding one of the few silver-struck 1971 D quarters in existence. You'd feel the weight differently. The shine, the sound when dropped. Even the ring of silver has its own music. That one sound could be the sound of $1 million, and yet, hardly anyone talks about it. Dealers whisper about these coins. Stories circulate in collector circles, but verified examples are guarded secrets. The U.S. Mint never officially acknowledged how many silver planchets slipped into the presses. Some experts believe fewer than 10 might exist. Others think a few dozen are still out there, undiscovered, tucked away in private collections, or forgotten in old jars. Every minute you watch this, someone in America is handing over change at a gas station, a grocery store, a diner. Among those coins could be the 1971 D quarter that collectors have spent decades searching for. It could be a retired veteran paying for coffee, a teenager using a vending machine, or a collector like you, checking every coin, hoping for that once-in-a-lifetime find. Think about what that means. A small coin, once worth 25 cents, now valued at over $1 million. Not because of luck alone, but because someone noticed the difference. Someone paid attention to the details. Someone cared enough to look. Oh, let's go deeper. On your 1971 D quarter, inspect the mint mark carefully. The D stands for Denver, but it's not just a letter. It's a clue. The Denver Mint had a reputation for precision, but even there, human error was possible. Occasionally, leftover silver planchets from 1964 were mistakenly fed into the presses. The resulting coins were identical in design, but their metal told a different story. Under magnification, the silver version tends to have sharper details, especially in Washington's hair and the eagle's feathers. The surface luster looks richer, almost creamy. If you compare it side by side with a modern quarter, you'll notice how the silver coin reflects light differently. It's subtle, but unmistakable to a trained eye. Now, let's reset your focus. Picture yourself at a coin shop. A collector beside you is flipping through a tray of quarters, sighing in disappointment. You pick one up, a 1971 D, and something catches your eye. No copper edge. He shrugs it off. You buy it for 50 cents. Later that night, you weigh it. 6.25 grams. Your pulse starts to rise. You take it for authentication, and days later, you're holding the certificate that changes everything. That's the dream, isn't it? To turn a forgotten coin into freedom. To turn curiosity into $1 million. This isn't fantasy. It's history repeating itself. Time and again, ordinary people have stumbled upon extraordinary coins. A schoolteacher in Arizona found a rare 1970 S-proof coin worth 6 figures. A man in Pennsylvania discovered a 1972 double-die penny and sold it for thousands. As you hold your coins, remember, it's not about luck. It's about knowledge. Knowing what to look for, where to look, and why these coins matter. Each mark, each edge, each subtle imperfection tells a story. And for the 1971 D quarter, that story is pure American mystery. Imagine handing your coin to a dealer and watching his expression change from casual to stunned. He turns it over again and again. Then he looks up, eyes wide, and says, "Do you know what you have here?" That's not just a moment of discovery. That's a moment of destiny. Because this coin, this little piece of metal, carries more than monetary value. It carries history. It carries rarity. And it carries the potential to rewrite your life story. So tonight, when you go through your old change, look closer. Pull out every 1971 D quarter you find. Test it, weigh it, study it. Because somewhere, hidden among the ordinary, lies the extraordinary. Somewhere in America, someone is about to make the discovery of a lifetime, and they don't even know it yet. Imagine holding a simple quarter in your hand, one that looks just like the rest. It's dull, it's scratched, it's been in circulation for decades. But what if I told you that very coin could be worth over $1 million? Yes, a 1967 Washington quarter with no mint mark, hiding in plain sight, might just be the $1 million treasure you've overlooked your entire life. For years, collectors have whispered about it. Stories passed from one coin shop to another of a rare 1967 quarter that sold for over $1 million, and others fetching thousands, even tens of thousands, at private auctions. The mystery begins in 1967, a year when the U.S. Mint made a bold decision to remove mint marks entirely. No P, no D, no S, just a blank space under George Washington's neck. It was meant to stop coin hoarding during the silver crisis. But instead, it created one of the most confusing and profitable coin mysteries in American history. Imagine millions of these quarters rolling out of the mint. Billions, even. Most worth only 25 cents. But hidden among them, a few struck with razor-sharp precision on special planchets, with mirror-like surfaces. Proof-like coins that somehow slipped into circulation. Those are the ones that today, under the right light, could bring you a fortune. First, look closely at the date, 1967. Then, Look beneath Washington's neck. You'll notice there's no mint mark. That's normal for this year. But the key isn't the missing letter. It's the condition, the shine, the strike. Tilt the coin under bright light. If you see deep, mirror-like fields reflecting your face and frosted, detailed devices on Washington's portrait, you might have a special mint set or SMS coin. These were not meant for circulation, yet some escaped. And the rarest of them? Perfectly struck, uncirculated, and still gleaming after half a century. They've sold for staggering prices. Think about that for a second. A quarter that cost 25 cents in 1967 could now be worth over $1 million. That's not a rumor. That's real, documented history. In 2019, collectors watched in disbelief as one of these coins sold at auction for a life-changing amount. It wasn't just a coin. It was a piece of American legacy. The story gets even stranger. Some experts believe a handful of 1967 quarters were accidentally struck on silver planchets, leftover blanks from 1964, when quarters were still 90% silver. Those errors are unimaginably rare. Most coins that year were copper-nickel clad, but a precious few, slipped through the cracks. If you find one that weighs around 6.25 grams instead of the normal 5.67, your heart might just stop. Because that means you've found one of the most elusive modern coins in U.S. history. Now, imagine you're at your kitchen table. You empty your change jar. Dozens of coins spill out, dull, forgotten, ordinary. And then your fingers brush against one that feels different, heavier. The ridges are sharp. You hold it up to the light, and it catches your eye like it's whispering something only you can hear. That's how it starts for many collectors, with one simple coin that changes everything. Every collector dreams of that moment. The heartbeat quickens. The hands start to shake. Could it be the one? You weigh it. You check the shine. You grab a magnifying glass and inspect the date again, 1967. No mint mark. Sharp details. A mirror finish. Let's reset your focus for a second. Because this isn't just about luck, it's about knowledge. You see, millions of people have 1967 quarters, but almost none know what to look for. The difference between a regular one and a treasure worth thousands is in the tiniest of details: the rim thickness, the luster, the sharpness of Washington's hair, and the reflection on the fields. Professionals call these high-grade SMS coins, and the highest-graded ones are worth serious money. It's simple. Step 1. Handle your coin by the edges, never the surface. Step 2. Check the weight on a precise digital scale. Anything around 6.25 grams, you might have silver. Step 3. Study the shine. Does it look almost like a mirror? Does Washington's profile have a soft, frosted glow? That's the telltale sign of a special mint strike. People have found these in old collections, in estate boxes, even in pocket change. One man from Ohio claimed he discovered his $1 million 1967 quarter in a jar his grandfather kept since the 70s. When appraised, it turned out to be an ultra-rare SMS coin in pristine condition, the kind that serious collectors will pay nearly anything for. Think about what that means: an ordinary family heirloom transformed into a life-changing fortune. That's the magic of coin collecting. It's history in your hands. It's treasure disguised as spare change. There are still millions of 1967 quarters out there, most worth 25 cents. But a few, the chosen few, are priceless. One coin could change your financial future, could rewrite your story, could be your $1 million discovery. The answer lies in perfection. Coins graded MS67, MS68, or above by experts like PCGS or NGC are nearly flawless. Their surface is immaculate, their strikes sharp, their details stunning. Only a handful reach that level. And when they do, collectors compete fiercely. One single grade point can mean the difference between a few $100s and a few $100,000 if there's a certain romance in it, too. The idea that something so ordinary could be extraordinary all along. That a piece of metal, passed from hand to hand for half a century, could hold the power to change your life. Anyone can find one. You don't need a coin shop or a fancy collection. You just need curiosity, patience, and the courage to look. Because the next 1967 quarter that crosses your path might not just be a coin. It might be a ticket to a new beginning. Every collector who ever made a big discovery started the same way, with a single coin, a single spark of wonder. Maybe that's you. Maybe tonight you'll check your drawers, your old coffee cans, the forgotten boxes in your attic. Maybe you'll hold up a coin that glimmers just a bit too brightly, feels just a bit too heavy. And maybe, just maybe, you'll be holding a coin worth $1 million. Rare treasures don't always shine in plain sight. Sometimes, they hide behind wear and time, waiting for someone with the right eyes to see their worth. Imagine a coin worth $1.3 million hiding in plain sight, right there in your change jar, in a forgotten drawer, or tucked away in a childhood collection. A simple 1980p Washington quarter dollar. Ordinary to most, but extraordinary to the few who know its secret. Back in 1980, the Philadelphia Mint struck millions of quarters. They were just everyday coins, designed for vending machines and grocery store counters. No one paid attention. But among those millions, something unexpected happened. A small batch left the mint with microscopic differences, errors so rare that decades later, collectors are calling them the holy grail of modern coinage. Now imagine this. You're holding a coin that feels like any other, the same weight, the same silver gray tone. But look closer. There's a faint doubling on the obverse. The letters in Liberty slightly shadowed, the In God We Trust just a fraction off-center. A subtle tilt on Washington's eye that only the trained eye can see. That's what separates a 25-cent piece from a life-changing treasure worth over $1 million. When the first of these rare 1980p quarters surfaced at auction, collectors couldn't believe it. Experts spent hours under magnification, debating whether it was an error, a die clash, or a one-in-a-billion misstrike. Then came the verdict. It was authentic. A minting anomaly that shouldn't exist. The hammer dropped, and the price soared into the millions. One lucky owner walked away with a check that changed their life forever. No one knows exactly how many more are still out there. Some say fewer than 10 exist. Others believe hundreds are sitting unnoticed in jars and drawers across America. The question is, could one of them be yours? Let's slow down and uncover how to identify it. Start with the mint mark. Look for the small P just to the right of Washington's hair ribbon. That's the Philadelphia Mint mark, used for the first time on quarters in 1980. Then, examine the edges. If you see a strong, thick rim with uneven reading, it could be a clue. Now check the date. Some of these million-dollar coins show a faint double impression on the numbers 1 and 9. Under a magnifying glass, you might see a ghostly second layer, evidence of a rare double die strike. Flip the coin. Focus on the eagle on the reverse. In the rarest examples, its wings show an unusual spread, one side slightly higher than the other, a tiny imperfection that tells the story of a misaligned die. Collectors say these wings almost seem to rise, like the coin itself is taking flight toward fortune. Think about that for a second. Millions of people handled these coins for decades, never realizing they were touching a piece of history worth more than a house, more than a lifetime of savings. How many of these coins have been spent, lost, or forgotten? Imagine finding one today, flipping over an old coin, and realizing it's not just a quarter, but a ticket to financial freedom. A simple piece of metal transformed into a symbol of luck, patience, and destiny. That's what makes coin collecting magical. Every search, every discovery, every mystery waiting to be solved. Experts recommend using a 10x jeweler's loupe, checking for doubling in the word trust, and studying the mint mark under light. Some versions show tiny cracks along the rim, what collectors call die breaks, which can push the value even higher. Condition matters too. If your 1980p quarter still has sharp detail and mirror-like luster, you could be holding something that appraisers would call mint state. In that condition, the value doesn't just rise, it skyrockets. Think about the stories behind these coins. Mint workers in 1980 couldn't have imagined their ordinary day striking metal would one day create a coin worth over $1 million. Each press of the die, each imperfect alignment, unknowingly created a legend. Now, every collector across America is on the hunt. They search flea markets, old rolls of quarters, and forgotten piggy banks. Some have searched for years. And then, one day, someone finds it, the coin that changes everything. That moment when time stops, when disbelief turns into excitement, and excitement turns into life-changing reality. The gleam of the coin under the light, your heart racing as you realize what you've just uncovered. You compare the details, the doubling, the misaligned eagle, the bold rim, and it matches perfectly. A rush of adrenaline takes over. Suddenly, that coin isn't just a piece of metal. It's your future. Collectors often say that the thrill isn't just in finding the coin, it's in knowing it could be anywhere. In a gas station till, in your grandmother's coin jar, in that old pocket change you never bothered to sort. Every coin tells a story. Every quarter holds a possibility. And if you're wondering whether these coins truly reach those million-dollar prices, the answer is yes. Auction houses across the country have witnessed the bidding wars, the gasps from the audience, the collectors competing for a piece of history. One 1980p Washington quarter, in near-perfect condition, shocked everyone when it sold for more than $1.3 million. That's not just a sale. That's a statement. A reminder that even in the most ordinary places, unimaginable value can hide. So, the next time you hold a quarter, don't just see 25 cents. See potential. See the years of history, the craft of minting, the chance that fate might be sitting in the palm of your hand. Because somewhere out there, another coin is waiting to be discovered. People spend their lives searching for miracles, chasing dreams that seem too far away. But sometimes, those miracles are already with us, disguised as something ordinary, waiting for the right person to notice. Maybe that person is you. Maybe your next handful of change holds a secret that could rewrite your future. Check your quarters. Examine every detail. Because this isn't just about collecting. It's about believing that something incredible could be within your reach. The 1980p Washington quarter dollar. The coin that turned ordinary into extraordinary. The one that reminded the world that even the smallest discoveries can carry the biggest rewards. Imagine this. You're holding a regular quarter in your hand. You've used thousands like it. But what if I told you that one of those 1990p mint mark Washington quarters could be worth over $1.4 million? Yes, a simple quarter, struck more than 3 decades ago, could turn an ordinary collector into a millionaire overnight. That IT sounds impossible, doesn't it? But history has a way of hiding treasure in plain sight. The 1990p Washington quarter has a story that most people have never heard. A story of minting errors, overlooked details, and a twist of fate that turned a 25-cent coin into a life-changing discovery. Let's go back to 1990. The Philadelphia Mint was producing millions of quarters that year, fast, efficient, and routine. But among those ordinary coins, something unusual happened. A small batch of quarters was struck with a tiny but powerful flaw. A misalignment so slight that it passed the mint's inspection unnoticed. It wasn't just a scratch or a faded detail. This was a minting anomaly that would go on to define one of the rarest quarters in American coinage history. Collectors began whispering about it years later. A few noticed the difference. The P mint mark sitting slightly off-center, the edges sharper, the strike deeper. Some even spotted signs of a double die on Washington's profile or on the eagle's feathers. But the real secret? A handful of these coins were made with a proof die, the kind meant for collector sets, by mistake. And that mistake changed everything. Imagine pulling one of those quarters from your pocket change without realizing it. Spending it on a coffee. Dropping it into a parking meter. That's what makes this story so haunting. Millions of these coins circulated, but only a handful were different. Only a few held that million-dollar potential, and most people never even looked close enough to see it. It comes down to a perfect storm of rarity, condition, and error. The rarest versions have what collectors call a proof strike. Mirror-like fields with frosted details, created by dies meant for proof coins. These proof dies were never supposed to be used for regular circulation. But somehow, in the rush of 1990, they were. The deep, glassy shine behind Washington's head, the razor-sharp edge of the letters Liberty, and the crisp clarity of In God We Trust. On the reverse, the eagle's wings should look almost three-dimensional. If you see that mirror finish, hold that coin tight. It might not just be a quarter. It might be your ticket to $1 million. But it's not just about shine. Some 1990p quarters show a faint doubling on the word Liberty or on the date. That's another clue. The doubling can appear subtle, almost like a shadow behind the letters. Under magnification, though, it's unmistakable. Those double die errors are the kind of thing collectors dream about finding. Now here's where it gets even more mysterious. Experts believe there are fewer than 10 verified proof-struck 1990p quarters in existence. Some are locked in private collections. One was graded in near-perfect condition, a flawless MS-68, and valued at around $1.4 million. The owner refused to sell. Can you imagine holding a coin worth that much and deciding to keep it? Every coin collector knows the thrill of possibility, that moment when you flip a coin over and realize something is off. Maybe the mint mark is missing. Maybe it's doubled. Maybe the strike just looks too perfect. That's the feeling that keeps collectors searching through boxes, jars, and coin rolls. The hope that lightning might strike in their own hands. That if you want to find this 1990p treasure, here's what to look for. First, the mint mark. The letter P should be located just to the right of Washington's ponytail. On the rare versions, that P is slightly tilted or appears to be touching the bust. That's your first clue. Second, check the fields, the flat surfaces around the design. If they're smooth, reflective, and mirror-like, that's not normal for a business strike. That's a proof die at work. And third, examine the details under a magnifying glass. Look for doubling, especially on the Liberty and the Eagle's wings. Most people will miss it. Their eyes will glance right over it. But not yours, not anymore. Because now you know the signs. And here's the twist. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 600 million quarters in 1990. That's more than enough to make you think, there's no way mine could be special. But in that ocean of metal, a few golden needles still hide. Somewhere, a few flawless examples are waiting to be found. Maybe in an old coin jar, maybe in a forgotten drawer, maybe in your own home. It didn't feel special at first. It looked ordinary. But when they took a closer look, the shine, the sharpness, the strange P, they realized they'd stumbled onto something historic. One small detail turned into a $1 million discovery. Think about that for a moment. A single coin, worth more than most houses. A piece of metal, smaller than your palm, that could change your life forever. That's not just money. That's destiny disguised as spare change. So tonight, when you get home, grab that old coin jar. Pour the quarters out onto the table. Look for the 1990 date. Check for the P mint mark. Hold it under the light and watch for that mirror shine. You never know what you might see looking back, because maybe, just maybe, the next $1 million quarter is already yours. Every major coin discovery in history sounded like a rumor before someone proved it real. From the 1932 D Washington quarter to the 1969 double-die Lincoln cent, they all started with whispers. Then one collector saw the truth. So don't dismiss that ordinary-looking 1990 quarter. Don't assume it's worthless. History has a way of rewarding those who look twice. Imagine finding that one coin, the one worth $1.4 million. How would that change your life? Would you sell it, frame it, or keep it as proof that luck favors those who pay attention? The treasure isn't buried anymore. It's hiding in plain sight, right there in your change, in your drawer, in your hand. Imagine a coin worth $1.5 million, hiding right now in your pocket change. A simple 1998 P Washington quarter, the kind you've probably held 1,000 times, could secretly be one of the rarest treasures ever struck by the U.S. Mint. Most people spend it without a second thought. But what if the coin you let slip through your fingers was the key to your $1 million moment? It all started in Philadelphia, 1998. The Mint was running nonstop, producing millions of quarters bearing the image of George Washington. It was business as usual, until a small handful of coins came out, different, imperfect, unintentionally flawless in their error. These rare coins would later become the stuff of legends. Experts still debate how they escaped detection. Some believe a single mint worker noticed the strange dies, but chose to stay silent. Others say the coins were struck during a mechanical failure, when a test die was mistakenly used with the wrong planchet. Whatever the truth, it left behind one of the rarest quarters in American history. Now imagine this. A collector at a small coin show years later, rummaging through a dealer's discount box. He stops. Something about the shine, the edges, the texture, it felt different. He buys it for 25 cents, thinking nothing of it. Months later, he learns the shocking truth. His coin, that 1998 P quarter, wasn't ordinary. It carried a unique die pattern, a double strike visible under magnification, and a faint but clear misalignment on the obverse. That same quarter would later be valued at nearly $1.5 million. To understand, we need to look closer at what makes this coin so special. Most 1998 P quarters were struck cleanly, with sharp details and standard alignment. But on this rare variant, collectors noticed subtle signs. The spacing between the Liberty letters was slightly off. The P mint mark was faintly shifted to the right, and Washington's I had a ghost-like doubling. These imperfections are not signs of wear. They are clues. A roadmap to discovering a $1 million coin hidden in plain sight. Every few minutes, take a look in your own pocket. Every handful of change is a mystery waiting to be solved. The 1998 P quarter might not look any different at first glance, but when tilted under the light, you might see that faint doubling or a slight misalignment near the rim. That's your signal. That's where the treasure hides. In 1998, few collectors were paying attention to quarters. The focus was on older silver coins, the pre-1965 mintages. So, when this anomaly appeared, almost no one noticed. For years, these rare 1998 P quarters circulated like ordinary change, slipping through soda machines, vending slots, and cash drawers. Some were lost forever. Others, perhaps, are still waiting in old jars, forgotten collections, or dusty drawers in American homes. And here's the emotional truth. Every great coin discovery tells a story about patience, curiosity, and a little bit of luck. Think about it. The person who finds this coin doesn't just uncover metal. They uncover history. They rewrite their financial future with something as small as a coin most people would ignore. It's a reminder that sometimes fortune doesn't come in grand gestures. It hides in the smallest, most ordinary things. Now, let's reset. Picture a quiet evening. You're sitting at your kitchen table, sorting through an old box of coins your parents saved. A soft lamp glows. You pull out a 1998 quarter. The edges catch the light, and then you see it. The rim seems thicker on one side. You hold it closer, your heartbeat rising. The mint mark, that tiny P, seems slightly tilted. Could it be? You grab a magnifying glass. The more you look, the more strange details appear. The spacing, the doubling, the faint line through Washington's neck, all there. You could be looking at one of the most valuable quarters ever found. Collectors say the genuine $1 million version of the 1998 P quarter shows signs of an off-center strike combined with a die clash. The reverse eagle may show faint outlines of Washington's profile from the obverse, an impossible image left behind during a misalignment of the dies. It's as if the coin carries a shadow of itself, an echo frozen in metal. This kind of error is almost impossible to fake and nearly impossible to reproduce. That's why the few authentic examples known today are valued in the millions. First, check for the mint mark. It must be a P. Second, look closely at the rim. If you see signs that the image is slightly off-center, or if the letters near Liberty or In God We Trust appear doubled, don't clean the coin. Don't touch it unnecessarily. Protect it immediately. Use gloves and contact a reputable coin grading company like PCGS or NGC. One verification could change your entire life. Now imagine that moment when you receive the call. The grading company confirms it. Your coin is authentic. Not just valuable, but legendary. They tell you collectors are already bidding over $1 million for it. You stare at the coin in your hand, the same one that's been sitting in a jar for 20 years, and realize it's worth more than your house, your car, maybe your entire savings combined. That feeling? It's the American dream. Minted in copper and nickel. Let's reset again. Because here's what makes this story truly powerful. Every one of us has a chance. Every coin that passes through your hands carries potential. Every forgotten roll of quarters, every family coin jar, every drawer full of change could be holding the next $1 million discovery. You just have to look closely enough. Experts estimate that fewer than 10 of these rare 1998 P quarters have ever been confirmed. That means there could still be a few waiting out there, in old collections, in circulation, maybe even in your home. The next great coin discovery doesn't require luck. It requires curiosity, patience, and a willingness to believe that something extraordinary could be hiding in plain sight. Think of all the times people ignored these coins, thinking they were ordinary. Think of all the times someone could have held a $1 million quarter and never known it. That's what makes this story so haunting. The idea that unimaginable value can exist right in front of us, unseen. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or open that old jar of change, don't rush. Take a moment. Look closer. Every scratch, every shine, every letter tells a story. Because maybe, just maybe, one of those 1998 P quarters is the one, the rarest of them all, the one that transforms an ordinary person into a millionaire. In the end, coin collecting isn't just about value. It's about discovery, legacy, and the thrill of finding beauty in the smallest things. The 1998 P Washington quarter reminds us that fortune favors those who notice what others overlook. Imagine a coin worth $1.6 million hiding right in plain sight. A simple 1980 P Washington quarter, something you might have tossed in a vending machine or flipped for heads or tails, could secretly be worth more than most people make in a lifetime. And yet, almost no one knows the full story behind it. The year was 1980. The U.S. Mint in Philadelphia was running full force, striking hundreds of millions of quarters. They were routine coins, made of copper and nickel, weighing 5.67 grams, the same as every other quarter you'd expect. But within that massive sea of metal, a few coins came out unlike the rest. A microscopic mistake, a barely visible difference, and destiny changed forever. Imagine holding a handful of change, and there it is, the 1980 P Washington quarter. You see George Washington's face, proud and timeless, but behind that calm expression hides a secret only the sharpest collectors have ever noticed. Some of these coins hold a minting error so rare, it transformed a pocket coin into a piece worth up to $1.6 million. Now here's where it gets mysterious. The Philadelphia Mint that year was transitioning between dies, the metal stamps used to strike the coins. A small batch of quarters was struck with a mismatched die pairing. The obverse, or front, had an early die state with a shallow strike, while the reverse die came from a different production batch entirely. That created subtle anomalies, doubled edges, faint lettering, and sometimes a ghost-like extra outline around Washington's neck. They live for that one clue, that tiny sign that separates a common 25-cent piece from a fortune. Before we dive deeper, think about this. How many times have you handled a 1980 quarter? Maybe you got one in change at the gas station. Maybe it sat in your junk drawer for decades. The idea that one of those could be worth $1 million doesn't even sound real. But it is. And that's the magic of coin collecting. Let's slow down and look closer. Take your magnifying glass, or even just your phone camera. Look at the P mint mark, just above Washington's ponytail. On a normal coin, the mint mark is crisp, centered, and clean. But on the valuable variety, the P looks slightly tilted or faintly doubled. It's not a trick of the light. It's the sign of a rare die variation. Now, move your eyes to the word Liberty. On certain million-dollar examples, the letters show doubling. That means each letter looks like it's been struck twice. You might notice the L and I appear thicker than usual, almost trembling. That's a red flag. Or in this case, a golden one dot. But here's what most people overlook: the rim. Some of the rarest 1980 P quarters were struck slightly off-center, where a small part of the design is missing along the edge. Those errors are incredibly rare, and when paired with the double details, they become priceless. Now imagine discovering that. You pick up a coin you thought was worth 25 cents, only to realize it could change your life forever. That moment, the rush, the disbelief, the shock, it's what every collector dreams of. Let's reset for a moment. Picture the Philadelphia Mint again in 1980. Over 635 million quarters rolled out that year. Workers operated massive presses, each one striking hundreds of coins per minute. The sound of metal clashing echoed through the air, relentless, mechanical, hypnotic. Somewhere in that rhythm, a tiny misalignment happened. And because of it, a few coins were born with a destiny no one could predict. Fast forward to today. The coin collecting world has become obsessed with tracking these rare errors. Collectors have spent years hunting for the 1980 P with that specific die variety. Some were found in old coin rolls, some in jars forgotten in attics. One example surfaced in an estate sale. Its owner never even knew its worth. It was appraised at over $1.6 million. That's why passion matters. Because knowledge, patience, and curiosity can turn spare change into a fortune. Start by weighing it. A standard quarter should weigh 5.67 grams. But a few rare ones come in heavier. That's because they were struck on a planchet mint for a foreign coin. The U.S. Mint occasionally struck foreign currency in the same presses, and mix-ups happened. If your 1980 P weighs around 6 grams or more, Don't ignore it. That could be a rare minting anomaly worth a fortune. Next, flip it over. On the reverse side, inspect the eagle. Look closely at the wings. Do they appear doubled? Are the feathers uneven? Or is there a faint shadow where there shouldn't be one? That subtle doubling, called a DDR, double die reverse, can mean you're holding one of the most valuable modern quarters in existence. Take another deep breath. Because this isn't just about coins. It's about history, chance, and the stories objects can tell. Every coin passes through hundreds of hands, each one unaware of its true potential. And one day, maybe that hand will be yours. Let's reset again. Think about your journey. Maybe you've been collecting for years, or maybe you're just starting out. Maybe you've been told it's just a hobby. But stories like this, the 1980p Washington quarter worth over $1 million, prove that ordinary people can uncover extraordinary treasures. So many collectors overlook 1980 quarters, chasing after the more famous ones like the 1970s or the 1983p. But sometimes, the real miracle hides in plain sight. There's another twist. Some 1980p quarters were struck using leftover die hubs from the late 1970s. That means the design details slightly differ from later issues. The spacing between letters, the angle of the date, even the thickness of the numerals, all are clues. If the 0 in 1980 looks oval or unusually thick, that's another marker of a rare variant. And remember, condition matters. A coin with sharp details, no scratches, and a bright, reflective surface can multiply its value dramatically. A perfect mint state 1980p era coin could command hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million. In today's market, collectors often say, every coin tells a story. But this one tells a story of luck, precision, and destiny. Now imagine the moment when you find it. Your heart pounding as you realize what you're holding. The light hits it just right. You see the doubling, the off-center strike, that faintly misaligned P. You take it to a professional grader, and they confirm it. This is the one. The rare 1980p Washington quarter. Worth more than $1.6 million. That's not a fantasy. It's a fact that tonight. Go through your change jar. Check that old drawer. Look at every 1980 quarter you've ever kept. Hold them under the light. Because while millions of people will overlook them, one person, maybe you, will find the one that changes everything. Imagine holding an ordinary 1981 quarter in your hand. You flip it over, hear that familiar clink of metal, and think nothing of it. But what if I told you, one of these coins, struck in 1981 at the Philadelphia Mint, could secretly be worth $1.7 million? Yes, a single Washington quarter, hiding in plain sight, could change your entire life. For decades, coin collectors and dealers have whispered about a mysterious 1981 P Washington quarter, a coin that looks like every other one, yet holds a secret so rare, so valuable, that most people wouldn't recognize it even if it was sitting right in front of them. The 1981 P quarter was minted in the millions, more than 600 million coins, to be exact. But within that ocean of ordinary coins, a few were struck with mistakes so microscopic, so unique, they became legends. Imagine a single die error, a double strike, or a minting flaw that changes everything. A tiny imperfection turning pocket change into $1 million treasure. Collectors call it the ghost quarter. It's the coin everyone's heard about, but almost no one has seen. And here's where things get interesting. Most 1981 quarters carry the letter P, showing they were made in Philadelphia, the very first year that mint mark appeared on quarters. Before 1980, the Philadelphia Mint left its coins blank, with no mark at all. So 1981 was a turning point, the dawn of a new era in U.S. coinage. During that shift, minting machinery was recalibrated, dies were replaced, and thousands of test strikes were made. That's when mistakes happened. A few quarters from that year were struck on planchets meant for other coins, like nickels, dimes, or even foreign currency. Those errors slipped into circulation unnoticed. One of those rare pieces has been confirmed, a 1981 P quarter struck on a smaller planchet, missing key details, weighing less than it should. That single coin sold for over $1 million at a private auction. Imagine the person who found it. Maybe they were rolling up spare change for the bank. Maybe it was just sitting in a coffee jar, ignored for years. Then one day, they took a closer look and discovered a fortune. The idea that a piece of metal worth 25 cents could hold a secret value of $1.7 million is both thrilling and haunting. On the front of the coin, you'll see George Washington's profile. The word liberty should be crisp and clear. Underneath his chin, the phrase, "In God We Trust." Below that, the date, 1981. And just beside the hairline, a tiny P, mint mark. Take that coin and look at its edges. A real 1981 P quarter should have a distinct copper-colored band when you tilt it sideways. But the rare ones? Some were struck on silver planchets left over from special issues or mint experiments. Those edges are solid silver, no copper band, no layers. If your coin has a smooth silver edge, your heart should skip a beat. That's your first clue. Next, check the weight. A standard quarter weighs about 5.67 grams. If your coin feels lighter or heavier, that's your second clue. Error coins can range anywhere from 4.8 grams to over 6 grams, depending on the metal mix or planchet mistake. A simple digital scale, the kind you can buy online for a few dollars, could be your key to unlocking a fortune. Now tilt the coin under the light. Look closely at the lettering. If you notice doubled words like liberty or in God we trust, that's called a double die error. It happens when the coin is struck twice, slightly misaligned. These errors are rare, extremely rare, and collectors will pay tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, for one in perfect condition. That's the one struck on the wrong planchet, missing the copper layer, with faint or missing details on Washington's bust. It's lighter than normal, silver-toned, and incredibly deceptive. You could hold it for years and never realize what it's worth until you weigh it. Stories like this inspire millions of collectors across the country. People who once ignored pocket change now inspect every coin, every mint mark, every edge. Why? Because history has proven again and again that life-changing discoveries come from the most ordinary places. Take the story of John, a retired firefighter from Ohio. He'd been collecting coins casually for years, nothing serious. One afternoon, while sorting through a pile of old change, he noticed something odd about one of his 1,981 quarters. It was lighter, slightly off color. He sent it to a grading service, just to be sure. Weeks later, he got the call. It was one of the rare mint errors, valued at over $1.5 million. Decades of work, bills, and worry, replaced by the sound of a phone call telling you your coin is worth more than most houses. But even if you never find the million-dollar one, understanding what makes these coins valuable puts you in control. Knowledge is your magnifying glass. Every coin tells a story of the mint that struck it, the metal that formed it, and the people who carried it through history. The Philadelphia Mint in 1981 was under immense pressure. Production targets were sky-high, and errors slipped through. Some dies were used far beyond their normal lifespan, causing weak strikes and doubling. Others were improperly aligned. For every perfect coin, there were a few that went out flawed, and those flaws became treasures. First, use a magnifying glass or coin loupe. Examine every letter. Look for doubling around the date and mint mark. Second, check the color and weight. Silver appearance? Wrong planchet. That's gold in disguise. Third, listen to the sound. Drop it gently on a hard surface. A regular quarter gives a dull clink. Silver-based errors ring sharp and clear. Collectors have described the sound as a whisper of fortune. That crisp, high-pitched ring means different metal composition and possibly a hidden treasure. The next coin you check could be the one everyone else missed. The one worth $1.7 million. The beauty of coin collecting isn't just about the money. It's about the mystery, the chase, the thrill of discovery. It's the thought that history is still alive, hiding in your pocket, waiting for the right eyes to see it.so tonight. Before you empty your change jar or hand over that quarter at the gas station, take a moment. Look closer. Feel the weight of it in your hand. Somewhere out there, in the hands of an ordinary person, sits a coin that will one day make headlines. The 1981 P. Washington quarter, a piece of American history, a whisper from the past, and a symbol of how small details can change everything. Check your drawers. Search your jars. Look at every coin like it could rewrite your life. Because it just might. Imagine this. You're holding a simple quarter, just 25 cents. You drop it into your palm, and it clinks like any other coin you've ever handled. But what if I told you that same quarter could could be worth $1.8 million. That's right. A coin you've probably spent 100 times without thinking twice could secretly hold a fortune. This isn't a myth, and it's not a fantasy. It's a true story hiding in plain sight that let's start at the beginning. The year is 2021. The Philadelphia Mint releases millions of Washington quarters into circulation. Ordinary coins, right? Wrong. Because somewhere in that ocean of metal, a few were struck with a mistake so rare, so subtle, it's become one of the most talked about mysteries in modern coin collecting. These quarters, bearing the tiny P mint mark, look like the others. But a small, almost invisible difference, in the strike, in the detail of the die, or in the way the metal was pressed, can transform an everyday coin into a millionaire's treasure. Think about that for a moment. You could have this coin sitting in your change jar, mixed in with loose quarters from gas stations and grocery stores. You might have walked past one 1,000 times. And yet, if you knew what to look for, you could spot the one worth over $1 million. Collectors began whispering about it in online forums. Dealers exchanged photos and grainy images of faint markings, odd minting flaws, and strange toning patterns. Some believed it was just hype. But then one coin surfaced, pristine, gleaming under the magnifying glass, and it changed everything. The experts confirmed what many suspected. A 2021 P Washington quarter with an ultra-rare minting error, struck with doubled features and flawless preservation. It was unlike anything seen before. At auction, it soared to unimaginable heights, fetching more than $1.8 million. Every collector watching that sale felt their heart skip a beat. Because if one exists, others could too. First, look closely at the obverse. That's George Washington's face. Focus on the details around his eye, his mouth, and the rim of the coin. Some rare versions show signs of doubling, a ghost-like second image that appears when the coin is struck twice by accident. It's subtle, but under magnification, you can see the extra lines shimmering under the surface. Next, flip it over. On the reverse side, check the details of the design, the sharpness of the text, the spacing of the letters, and the edges of the coin. If the rim looks slightly misaligned or the details seem unusually bold, that's a strong sign of a rare strike. And the mint mark, that small P on the right of Washington's neck. Look carefully. On certain rare coins, it appears slightly off-center or distorted, as if it was stamped just a fraction of a second too late. That's one of the telltale signs of a valuable minting error. Here's the key. Condition is everything. A coin with these errors in near-perfect condition can command life-changing value. A similar coin with scratches, or where might still be worth hundreds or thousands, but the flawless ones? Those are the million-dollar pieces. Now take a breath. Because the thought of one tiny, gleaming coin worth over $1 million sitting in a pocket or purse is almost too much to believe. But that's what makes this story so powerful, that it's not just about the money. It's about discovery. It's about how something so small can completely change a life. Think of the man who found that first one. He wasn't a professional dealer. He wasn't even a full-time collector. He was just someone who loved coins, someone who looked a little closer. One day, while sorting through spare change, he noticed a faint difference, a sharper edge, a cleaner line. He pulled out his magnifier, studied it, and realized what he was holding. That one moment, that small decision to take a closer look, turned a few cents into $1 million revelation. Every collector knows this feeling, the heartbeat quickening as you flip a coin under the light, wondering if you've finally found the one. It's part of the thrill, the suspense, the hope that maybe, just maybe, the next coin in your hand is the one that changes everything. And that's why this hunt continues. Across America, collectors are scouring their quarters, flipping through rolls, checking every 2021 P they can find. Because they know lightning can strike twice. Every year, new discoveries rewrite the rules of what we thought we knew about coins. Sometimes, it's a tiny die crack. Sometimes, it's a missing letter or a doubled feature. Sometimes, it's an entire design flaw no one noticed before. And sometimes, it's something that turns an ordinary piece of change into $1 million masterpiece. Pause for a moment and imagine this. You're sitting at your kitchen table. There's a pile of coins in front of you. You pick one up, tilt it under the light, and there it is, the doubling, the mark, the tiny imperfection that means everything. You just found it. You just found the one worth $1 million, the rush of realization. The disbelief, the trembling in your hands. That's the dream every collector lives for. And remember, this isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge, knowing what to look for, knowing how to examine, how to protect, how to authenticate. That's what separates dreamers from discoverers. So the next time you come across a 2021 P. Washington quarter, don't dismiss it. Don't spend it without a second glance. Hold it up to the light. Study it. Because that small detail, that faint marking, could be the difference between pocket change and $1 million miracle. Collectors across the country are waking up to this reality. Pawn shops, estate sales, and flea markets are buzzing with people searching for rare 2021 P quarters. And every so often, one surfaces, shining proof that the legend is real, that it's not just a coin. It's history, it's mystery, and it's a reminder that even in something as ordinary as a quarter, extraordinary value can hide. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or sort your change, take one last look at those quarters. You might just be holding something beyond imagination. Imagine holding a simple quarter, a 1998 P. Washington quarter, something so ordinary you'd never think twice about it. But what if I told you one of these coins, struck more than 2 decades ago, has been valued at nearly $1.9 million? Yes, one single coin, worth almost $2 million, hiding in plain sight. Maybe even in your pocket right now. It all began in 1998 at the Philadelphia Mint. Over 1.1 billion quarters were produced that year, making it seem like there could never be anything special about them. But buried within that sea of silver-colored metal, a few mysterious errors slipped through, mistakes so rare, so precise, that even the most experienced collectors didn't notice them at first. Some call it luck. Others call it destiny. The 1998 P. Washington quarter looks like every other coin. George Washington on the front, the proud American eagle on the back. But for a handful of coins, something went terribly wrong during minting. The dies used to strike them were misaligned, or even swapped with experimental dies intended for the 1999 state quarters program. These rare transitional errors created quarters with subtle differences, the kind of details that separate a 25-cent piece from $1 million treasure. Collectors whisper about them: the deep, mirror-like proof surfaces, the extra sharp details around Washington's hairline, and the faint doubling on the word Liberty. On some, you can even spot a slightly different spacing between the letters in United States of America. To an untrained eye, it's nothing, but to someone who knows what to look for, it's a fortune waiting to be found. Now imagine this. You're sorting through your old change jar, the coins you've ignored for years. You pull out a few quarters, wipe off the dust, and one of them, a 1998 P, catches the light just right. The shine feels different. You look closer. The surface almost glows, the edge perfectly smooth, and the mint mark, that tiny P, is crisp, flawless, and perfectly centered. You may not realize it yet, but that's your $1 million moment. Every few years, one of these rare coins surfaces, stunning the numismatic world. Collectors and dealers rush to verify authenticity. When certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, these rare quarters can reach jaw-dropping prices. And in private auctions, the bidding wars get fierce. Because no one wants to miss the chance to own a coin that breaks the rules of history. It's all about errors, those unexpected miracles in the minting process. One small slip of a die, one change in pressure, one experimental planchet mistakenly used. The difference between a common quarter and one worth $1.9 million can be as small as the thickness of a hairline crack in the die. Let's talk about what you need to look for. First, check the obverse. That's the front side with Washington's portrait. On some of these rare 1998 P quarters, the features appear sharper and deeper than normal. The lettering, especially in the word Liberty, can show doubling, 2 faint outlines instead of 1. Next, flip the coin to the reverse. Look closely at the eagle's wings and the words E pluribus unum. On the rare transitional strikes, the detail looks proof-like, crisp, almost three-dimensional. The background is unusually smooth, reflecting light like a mirror. Now, here's where things get mysterious. Some experts believe these coins were early test strikes for the 1999 Delaware quarter, part of the new state quarters series. The theory goes that mint workers accidentally used the wrong planchets or dies meant for the upcoming release. If true, This means these coins are literally a bridge between two eras, the last of the traditional Washington quarters and the first of the new generation. That's what makes them so valuable. They capture a turning point in American coinage history. Imagine the pride of discovering one yourself. You wouldn't just be holding a coin, you'd be holding a piece of time, a mistake that turned into a miracle. That's why collectors across the country are rechecking their old change jars, coin rolls, and boxes from decades past. Because nobody wants to be the person who unknowingly spent $1 million coin on a cup of coffee. If you're serious about finding one, you'll need patience and sharp eyes. Use a magnifying glass. Inspect the rim. The rare coins often have a slightly thicker or smoother edge. Examine the fields, the flat parts of the coin. If they shine like a mirror, you might be holding one of the rare proofs that accidentally escaped into circulation. And always pay attention to that mint mark. The P should be clear and well-defined, not faint, not blurry. But there's another layer of mystery here. Some 1998 P quarters have surfaced with a unique tone, a soft golden hue caused by the planchet composition or age. While this doesn't always indicate rarity, in combination with other signs, it could be a strong clue. The difference between a regular 25-cent coin and a fortune can come down to a few subtle traits, invisible unless you know where to look. Every great discovery begins with curiosity. That's what drives collectors. The thrill of the unknown. The hope that something small, something forgotten, could change their lives forever. And history proves it. Life-changing discoveries happen all the time. One man in Pennsylvania found a rare 1999 experimental quarter in his pocket change and sold it for over $1 million. Another collector unearthed a proof error quarter from a jar of coins that had sat untouched for 30 years. You might think, that'll never happen to me. But the truth is, these stories always begin the same way, with someone who didn't expect to find anything special. Someone like you. Someone who decided to look just one more time. Every coin tells a story, but only a few hold a secret. The 1998 P. Washington quarter is one of them. A coin that shouldn't exist the way it does, yet somehow it does. A coin worth $1.9 million, not because of what it was meant to be, but because of what it accidentally became. So tonight, when you get home, grab that jar of loose change. Pour it out. Let the coins clink against the table. Hold each one up to the light. Check every date, every mint mark, every detail. Because one of them could be your miracle, your chance to turn 25 cents into $1 million discovery. Wealth doesn't always come from banks or stocks or inheritance. Sometimes it comes from the smallest things, the things we overlook every day. So don't wait. Don't assume it's impossible. Because right now, as you watch this, there could be a 1998 P. Washington quarter worth nearly $1.9 million hiding in plain sight, maybe even in your pocket. Imagine holding a simple quarter in your hand, a 1987 D. Washington $quarter coin. It looks ordinary, doesn't it? The same kind you drop into a vending machine without a second thought. But what if I told you, one of these could be worth over $1 million? Yes, a coin most people overlook every single day could secretly hold life-changing value. Every coin collector dreams of that one discovery, the coin that changes everything. And the story of the 1987 D. Washington quarter is one of mystery, error, and hidden fortune. This coin has a backstory that even experienced collectors didn't believe at first. It's a tale that starts in Denver, Colorado, where the U.S. Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters that year. But deep inside that massive production run, something unexpected happened. A small handful of coins were struck differently. For years, they went unnoticed. People spent them, pocketed them, dropped them into jars. But one day, a collector noticed something strange, a faint doubling on the lettering, a shine that didn't match other quarters, and a mint mark slightly misplaced. That discovery sparked whispers across the collecting world. Could there be a rare 1987 D. Washington quarter worth a fortune hiding among common coins? If you've ever searched through your pocket change, you know that rush, that moment when you see a date, a mint mark, and your heart skips. You wonder, could this be the one? That's exactly how it starts. Now, to understand what makes the 1987 D quarter so special, you need to know what to look for. Start with the obverse. That's the front side. Look closely at George Washington's profile. The rarest 1987 D quarters show a doubled die. a slight but visible duplication on the word liberty or in God we trust. Under magnification, you might see an extra shadow, an overlapping outline. That doubling was caused by a misalignment during the die creation process, something that slipped past the Mint's quality control in 1987. Then check the Mint mark, the small d, on the right side of the coin, just beside Washington's ponytail. On some rare examples, that Mint mark appears slightly tilted, misplaced, or shows signs of repunching, as if it was struck twice. These RPM, errors, or repunched Mint marks can send values skyrocketing. And when that's combined with pristine condition, we're talking near-perfect MS67 or higher grades. That's when the million-dollar magic happens. But the story doesn't end with the errors. Some of the most valuable 1987D quarters are struck on the wrong metal planchet, a leftover from another denomination. Imagine a quarter struck on a copper penny blank or a nickel planchet. These minting mistakes are so rare, they can make even seasoned collectors' jaws drop. A single verified wrong planchet 1987D quarter could fetch hundreds of thousands, and in pristine, uncirculated condition, it could easily top $1 million. Think about it. You could have one of those coins sitting quietly in a drawer, mixed in with spare change from decades ago. Maybe you inherited a coin jar from your parents or grandparents. Maybe you've got old rolls of quarters from the 80s that you never opened. Hidden among them could be a treasure no one else has noticed. Now, here's something to keep in mind. Condition is everything. If your 1987D quarter has sharp details, clean surfaces, and no visible wear, it's worth examining more closely. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin. And that's what separates a $10 find from $1 million discovery. Collectors pay enormous sums for coins that are officially certified in mint state condition. Every 1 to 2 years, a new story surfaces. A collector finds an overlooked coin, gets it graded, and suddenly, what looked like pocket change becomes headline news. That could be you. But you have to know what to look for and have the courage to check. Now, let's talk emotion. Imagine holding that coin, realizing it's not just metal, but a piece of history. A mistake so rare it survived 4 decades unnoticed. You'd feel your pulse rise, your hands shake. You'd remember every time you brushed off a coin, every time you said, "It's just a quarter." And suddenly, that small piece of metal could change your life forever. This is what makes coin collecting so thrilling. The mystery, the chance, the hunt. Somewhere out there, a few 1987D quarters escaped the ordinary. They carry the markings of a minting error so elusive, only the sharpest eyes can spot it. Maybe it's a double die, maybe a wrong planchet, maybe a rare strike-through error. But they're real, and they're out there. Every collector watching this knows that feeling. The late-night searches, the magnifying glass in hand, the hope that this time, this roll, this coin might be the one. It's not just about money. It's about discovery, history, and the thrill of beating the odds. But when that discovery can also be worth $1 million, it becomes something far greater. Keep your eyes sharp. Look at every 1987 quarter you find. Study the mint mark, the lettering, the shine. If it looks different, don't ignore it. Have it checked. Because the difference between an ordinary quarter and $1 million coin can be nearly invisible. In the right auction, a verified rare 1987D Washington quarter can command more than luxury cars, homes, or entire collections. That's the hidden power of numismatics, the world of coin collecting where history, rarity, and passion collide. So, the next time you're sorting through your change, pause. Feel the weight of each coin. Remember that even the most common piece can hold an uncommon story, because someone, somewhere, will find the next $1 million 1987D Washington quarter, and it could be you. Every coin tells a story. This one tells the story of forgotten fortune, of overlooked history, of luck meeting preparation. The Denver Mint never intended to create a legend, but it did, and that legend is waiting for someone to rediscover it. This is your invitation to look closer, to believe that extraordinary things can hide in plain sight, and to remember, even something as ordinary as a quarter can carry the power to change a life. Imagine holding a simple quarter in your hand, a 1993D Washington quarter, worn, faded, and ordinary. You toss it into your change jar, never thinking twice. But what if that very coin, That one piece of metal was worth $1.1 million. It sounds unbelievable, but that's the truth hidden inside one of the most mysterious coins in American history. Somewhere out there, a 1993 D Mint Mark Washington quarter has stunned collectors, selling for prices no one ever imagined possible. How did an everyday coin become a million-dollar legend? Let's take a journey into the story most people never hear. The story that coin dealers don't want you to know. The year is 1993. The Denver Mint is running hot, pressing millions of Washington quarters. The press is thunder, thousands of coins clinking every minute. But that year, something went wrong. A few coins were struck from a unique die, a die that had microscopic differences, subtle misalignments, and metal composition errors that shouldn't exist. These mistakes created a few rare quarters that today, under the right conditions, are worth over $1 million at first glance. It's just a normal quarter. But the difference is in the details. Collectors who know what to look for can spot it. A slightly doubled image on the word Liberty. The spacing of the letters looks off. The D Mint mark, just beside Washington's ponytail, appears slightly higher or tilted compared to normal Denver strikes. On some, the eagle's feathers on the reverse side are faint or uneven, caused by the die beginning to wear unevenly. And the color? Yes, the color has a slightly different silver tone due to an unexpected mixture of copper and nickel layers. You might think this is just collector talk, but listen. In 2021, a private auction quietly sold one of these 1993 D quarters for over $1 million. It was authenticated, graded, and locked inside a protective case. To the untrained eye, it was just a 25-cent coin. But to a serious collector, it was a life-changing discovery. Now imagine this. You dump out your change jar, sifting through handfuls of coins, and there it is. A 1993 D quarter staring back at you, not knowing the fortune it holds. You start noticing the details. The texture feels slightly different. The rim looks thicker. You look closer, and the mint mark seems off-center. Your heart races. Could it be? Could you be holding one of the rarest coins in modern American history? People think million-dollar coins are only ancient treasures locked in museums. But the truth is, modern errors like this exist in plain sight. Ordinary coins with extraordinary stories. Hidden gems born from accidents that were never meant to happen. The Washington quarter has been part of America's pocket change since 1932. It's seen wars, recessions, and generations of hands passing it along. But few years carry the mystery of 1993. That Denver Mint batch produced anomalies that experts still debate today. Some claim they were experimental strikes. Others believe they were minting errors from worn-out dies. Whatever the cause, only a handful survived, and those survivors are now worth more than gold. Now, listen closely. If you want to identify one yourself, you need patience, light, and attention. First, look for the D Mint mark under Washington's hairline. If it's slightly tilted or not perfectly aligned, that's your first clue. Then, examine the words, "In God We Trust." If you see faint doubling, a ghost-like shadow of the letters, that's another sign. Turn it over. On the reverse, look at the eagle's wings. If the feathers look blurry, uneven, or weak, it might be struck from that rare die. And finally, weigh the coin if you can. Some rare ones are slightly heavier, by less than 1/10 of a gram. Due to metal composition anomalies, collectors across America are hunting for this coin. Some have spent years searching through change, estate sales, and old rolls from banks. Most never find it. But one man did. In his garage, inside an old coffee can. He nearly threw it out. But a glimmer of silver caught his eye, and that moment changed his life. That one coin paid off his mortgage, his debt, and his grandchildren's college. Now, take a moment and think about it. How many coins have passed through your hands in your lifetime? Hundreds of thousands. Each one with a story, a mint mark, a hidden detail. The 1993 D Washington quarter stands as a symbol of possibility, proof that fortune hides in plain sight. Every few years, another example surfaces, causing waves in the collecting world. The buzz spreads online, forums light up, and experts rush to verify it. Because each time, the discovery reminds us of the same truth. Luck favors those who look closer. The human eye skips what the heart refuses to see. We assume things are ordinary, but sometimes the ordinary is what hides the extraordinary. That's what makes coin collecting so powerful. It's not just about metal or money. It's about hope, about turning curiosity into fortune, about discovering that miracles don't always come in gold. Sometimes they come in silver-plated copper worth $1 million. So tonight, when you empty your pockets or check your coin jar, look carefully. Don't rush. Turn that 1993 quarter over in your fingers. Feel the weight of history. You might be holding a piece of the Denver Mint's most mysterious year, a small, circular key to $1 million destiny. Somewhere in America right now, someone is spending their rare fortune unknowingly, buying a soda, paying a toll, or leaving it in a tip jar. But not you, because you know what to look for. You know the signs. You know that the greatest treasures don't sparkle in the dark. They jingle in your pocket.